There's more to ease. Financial District Home Office. Now that's it.
Baby, if you've ever wondered what became of Joe and me. We're living on the air at Carnival Personnel. Carnival Personal Podcast, CPP. Listen to Jacques incoherent yapping while Joe can quote a movie line by line. They may have no idea what they're talking about, but all in all they still sound pretty fine. It's Carnival Personnel, the CP Podcast.
It could really happen to me. Yeah. I know. So, is there a doctor in the house? Anyone? No. First aid? Anybody know first aid? EMT? Anything? I'll take it. Right. Okay. All right. Well, if I do drop dead, then be sure to say, well, at least she died doing something she loved. Fuck that. So my kids, my husband, they love me so much. They gave me some beautiful gifts. Beautiful gifts. I mean, my daughter, she knows how much I love jewelry, right? So she bought me this amazing, beautiful black pendant, and it has a little red, stone in the middle. I would have worn it tonight, but the past couple times I wore it, I happened to just adjust it, and an ambulance showed up.
Hello, and welcome to Carnival Personnel Sideshow. I'm Jacques.
I'm Joe.
And Joe, today's guest, both you and I are super excited for. I think it might have been the second show I did with Greg Boggis at the Luna Theater that I first met this comedian. And right away, stands out for so many wonderful reasons. And over the last 7 months, I don't want to say we've gone on a tour, but we've worked together in Maine through Jim McCue at a Smitty's. We worked together at Dave Rattigan's Murphy's Tap Room in New Hampshire. And then, of course, Greg Boggis' place at Lowell at the Luna Theater. Of all the comedians that my little guy has seen, whether, you and I, Joe, have done shows here or in LA last summer, hands down, this is his favorite comic. And so I won't waste anybody else's time and just say hello to the absolute wonderful Doris Ballard. How are you, Doris?
Oh, it's so nice to be here. Oh, I'm all flattered here. Thank you so much. Yeah, I love it. When we met the first time, I thought, I like this guy. He's good.
Well,
yeah, and you've got great stories.
Well, as far as you go, I mean, we'll just get right into it. Doris is a couple years older than me, and I literally, when Grandma got up on stage, it is not what anybody expected. Your comedy is just, appealing to. It's almost like ageless. It's across the board. But why don't you walk us through when you started and how this all came to be? Because you haven't been on the comedy circuit since your mid-20s or early 20s when most people started. You got a little later start than most. So why don't you walk us through how you got into comedy?
Well, I've always been in theater. A lot of us comedians have been in theater, and always typecast as a comedian in comedy roles, and which drove me nuts because we comedians can be good in drama as well. But when they peg you, audiences expected me to be funny. So, and I knew that, and I went, oh, well, it is what it is. But then I said, you know what? Well, I'm going to retire in 2019, right? Just before COVID. My husband and I were going to retire, and I wanted to run for state rep because I served on the city council in Concord, New Hampshire for 4 years. I liked it a lot. We had our own business. I ran Concord TV for 15, 16 years. And so I got to know the community in Concord, New Hampshire and the area really well. So I wanted to run for office, and that was my dream. And then I thought, well, told my husband, I said, okay, I'm going to run for state rep. And this would have been the second time I ran. It was a horrible experience years ago. I was so green, just like I am in comedy, but I learned a lot. And so he said, how much does it pay? And true story. And I said $100. And he said, $100 a week? And I went, no, $100 a year. And he said, what? I says, yeah, but I get mileage. He says, you live a 5-minute walk from there, Doris, 5-minute walk. And he says, look, I'll give you $1,000 not to run. So anyway, I said, you know what? It'd be more fun. Norm is funny. He did a lot of comedy deliveries for the many years. He was funny as hell. And I said, I want to start a comedy club in Concord, New Hampshire. Let's laugh. I want to bring laughter to people, which is, I think, what you do, Jacques too, all of us do. And so we started Laughter in New Hampshire, and we had a comedy club in Tandy's, a restaurant. And it was really going well. We had some classes. Greg Boggis taught one. I took Dave Rattigan's class years ago. So it was always in the back of my mind, and then COVID came. And I was really making some headway there. So it was 9 years ago I started doing stand-up, right, with the school and all that. And it was making some headway. And then I said, well, it's time to write, I guess. I'll do some writing. And so then when things started to be after COVID, that's when I contacted a few people and said, I want to try and do some stand-up again, and I found a whole new persona. It's always been that. But I love performing for young people more than people my age.
No, that's really interesting because
yeah, no, I love performing for everyone, but I get a response from middle-aged young people, so a bit of a shock,
right,
for them to hear what I'm talking about, which is real, because like stuff is funny. It gets funnier as you get older, and I look at everything in such a way that I said, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to do this now. I drag my husband around with me. He's my Uber driver, poor guy. And he's 78, I'm 77. And so, so we go kind of local, but I really want to go further. So I'm now trying to network with people like you, Jacques, and others to try to get some advice from you young folks who have been doing it a lot longer than I have. So I'm learning a lot. I'm enjoying it. I feel, you have to feel a rush, right? When you do stand up, if it works. And I feel a connection. We feel a connection with the audience. And so I try not to be too, edgy. I can do both, but I have much more fun when it's edgy.
So you don't have any penis joke material that you go to?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite P words. One of my favorite P words. And you want to talk about funny, that's funny.
Oh, yeah. Especially ours. I mean, come on.
I
won't get into it, but
No, I better get a pen and paper here. But so anyway,
well, you're not going to need a lot of paper for my penis joke. So,
oh my God, I'm embarrassed. So.
I'm sorry.
More of a post-it note than paper.
I'm working a little blue. I'm sorry. Let me pull it back over.
So, okay, well, I don't know how much, time we can spend talking about him, but one of my favorite people in comedy over the last 6 months, other than yourself, is Norm, who is just the best sport and just a delight to be around. And honestly, I don't know anybody more supportive, in this than Norm. And maybe he's a horrible person on the car ride and at home, but in public, he seems like a sweetheart who's crazy supportive and just, takes quite a beating sometimes. And he is just awesome.
Yeah, I run things by him a lot, but sometimes I surprise him too, and that's what makes it so fun. But he would love to do it, but his memory is not as what it used to be. And that's a good thing for me to be doing because it keeps me sharp, So he's uncomfortable with it. but he's very supportive, very, very supportive. And I do run things by him, and he is the fodder for a lot of my comedy. You know, husbands, my husband, men, you know, yeah, he is definitely makes me laugh every day. And
When over the pandemic, did you do any virtual shows, or did you just spend you did? Okay.
we did. Yeah, we wrote a few things together. Somebody wanted us to do a nonprofit, so we wrote. He was, you know, I was a pet psychic, right? And he was, he had a pet that he was having a problem with. So I wrote that piece, and we performed that we put it on YouTube. It's not out yet. I don't want to put it out for people yet. I'll be putting other stuff up there soon, I hope. But yeah, we did that kind of stuff. It's hard because you don't hear the laughter, you don't get the feedback. And we just presented them with the link, and they played it. Yeah. And, you know, I just spoke to the Bedford Women's Club a month or so ago. They wanted to know how I got into this. And that was interesting. And so, I mean, I'm branching out a little bit, but I'm not aggressive at this point. But the fall is, but I produced a one-woman show last March.
Oh,
and it was sold out. Yeah.
Well, I want to get into the acting, but
Okay.
as far as you know, women's group that you're talking to, whether they're retired or senior citizen people, you have to absolutely be the Mick Jagger in their world. Like every one of them at one. I mean, seriously, have you talked to anybody who hasn't said, "Oh, I always wanted to do this," or "I've dreamt of doing it," and you're actually doing it? You know, and you have to just absolutely, you know, blow their minds that you're not doing it at a senior center, that you're doing legit shows all over New England in front of young audiences, in front of, you know, different size rooms. And like I said, you know, whether it's a, you know, Smitty's tap room or the big, you know, the Smitty's room, that's like, I think it was I can't remember which of the Smitty's, but those are like 80, 100 seat rooms sometimes that are packed. And at McCue's, that was another place I've seen you. So you're living the dream of a lot of people who probably, when they retired or are getting close to retirement age, think about a hobby to take up and might take a class. But there's a big difference between taking a class and actually doing it. You truly have to be just blowing people's minds.
Yeah. Well, the rap songs now are taking off a little bit. I just wrote a new one. It's funny, but I hope it's funny. But I wrote one about if women ruled the world. And this was before all of this came down with politics. I don't get into politics, but if men rule, we always get into war. Women, we wouldn't. We would never get into war. So my whole rap song is about, this is why women need to rule the world. And this is why I should be ruling the world. So, and I actually did it for the first time at McCue's in Portsmouth a few weeks ago, maybe 3-4 weeks ago, the day that our former president was almost assassinated. And that was the night that I decided, crap, I could do this. So it was benign. I mean, it was fun, but I'm tweaking it a little bit now. But now it has a new meaning, you see?
Yeah.
So now I'm going to make it longer and really punch it. I love you men, but man.
Oh, no, we suck. And it's funny, you know, you just said that it's like, oh, you don't want to get into politics. About 5 minutes ago, weren't we talking about you trying to be a state rep?
I know. Well, you know, I'm glad I'm not doing that, because that's a downer now today. So, I mean, it's comedy is much better. I mean, we need to laugh more.
And you make more than $100. So.
I would hate to tell you how much I made last year, right? Okay, right.
But no,
if it was about the money, I appreciate young people like you and others who say they really want to make it. I love that. Well, and I wish them, you know, I keep my fingers crossed for some of them, but it's tough.
Oh, well, you know, my friend Dante talks about this all the time, and it couldn't be more true. there's no reason to do this. Like there is no money in it. I mean, to do a Smitty show, it's a 2.5-hour car ride each way to do a 15-minute set. The upside with the Smitty shows is the feature, so that's always nice. But there's the only reason you do local theater, or comedy, or a couple other these things, like, an artist, is because you physically have to. It's an addiction. You do it because you absolutely can't not do it, and that's the only reason.
You're absolutely right. And you want to share with people, some of these crazy stories that we do when we do stand up. I mean, it's all based on storytelling, right? I mean, and with a twist.
Those are the best. And now, as far as and sometimes we'll talk if a comedian brings it up, we'll talk a little bit about their styles, but I never want to give away somebody's stuff. But your raps that you end your sets on are all, first of all, here's grandma rapping. Let's just start with that. That there is just a win across the board. And they're so funny. This one, I have not heard this one yet. And I love the fact that just the whole idea that women should be running the world, because my favorite argument that some blockhead men have always used about women, oh, they're too emotional, cut to Brian Kavanaugh crying, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. If you really despise Hillary Clinton or you like her, she, during the Benghazi thing, was dragged in for like 11 hours one day of hearing, and just I don't remember her crying once,
but yet Brett Kavanaugh cried.
Right. And then people are like, oh, women are so emotional. They're caused so many wars. It's like, okay, so all the other wars we've been up to this point are, and now granted, there'd be less wars, but the passive aggressiveness might be really, really great. No, but
a glass of wine or two and we're over it.
Seriously, it's
much what it is.
Oh, I'm very much looking forward to hearing that. Now let's take a step back. You're not just, well, tell me a little bit about the acting. How did that start? How long have you been doing that?
Oh, the acting? Oh,
yeah.
God. Oh, my God. I always wanted to be an actress. My family was very poor. I know, but we were. But I didn't know I was poor because we were happy. I was basically happy, well, most of the time. But the YWCA at the time had a little acting class, and I went with a friend, and I was hooked. I had to be like 6 or 7 at the time. And I wanted to go back again so badly because I didn't get a chance to do it. I literally, this is the way our families back then, you come home when it's dark. They honestly come home when it's dark, just go play, right? I got on a bus. I couldn't have been more than 7 or 8. I swear to God, it felt, I got on the bus. I went to the YWCA. I went in, there was no class. I didn't know what I was doing. I thought there it would be, right? Got back, came home, and my parents never even knew I left. So maybe I was 8 or 9. I don't know, but I know I wasn't a teenager. But that's how much I wanted it. And my father put me up on a table in his club. My father had a drinking. He was an alcoholic, but funny. And so he had a club that he would go to almost every night. And he brought me to the club when I was like 3 years old, put me up on a table, and he asked me to sing, put another nickel in. Put another nickel in the Nickelodeon. And that's all I remember about them supporting me being in theater. So I used to play the piano and sing and act. I would get on the front stoop and I'd be acting like, Snow White and all that. I just saw the movie. And then people would go by and I'd just stop. Right. Right. And then I'd have little shows underneath the clothesline. Right. We'd have little shows, invite the neighbors and do the hula. There were no costumes.
Were you in any productions you were in that stand out to you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Thank you. That's a good question. Yeah, I did Annie Warbucks, and it was shortly after my mother died.
Oh. And
I was really, I had like a little picture of her in my dressing room. This was the Community Players of Concord. And so I was up there and I played the detective, and I was the bad person. And at the end, and I felt the energy from the audience. And it was a sellout. And I felt that energy. when I walked on stage. They expected me, they were waiting for me, and I just felt the rush of love from them. And I just took off. And I performed that for my mom that night. So that my energy was there. And at the end, when we all came up for our final bow, it was a 3-night performance, the lead got, oh, okay, nice. And then when I came up, before him, applauding like crazy. And I felt so bad. He never talked to me again after that. No, seriously. He's dead now.
Right.
But you asked that question.
He was dead then. Let's face it. All right.
Dead
Killed
to
him that
me.
night.
Yeah. And one time I did a song. I sang First of an Aching Heart, and I came into the audience and I played with the guys in the front row. They loved it. And I told the director, she had another show again, the music director, and she had asked me to be a part of it. I said, I want to do something dramatic. I want to sing something good. I walked on that stage. I was singing a serious old song. I'll see you, I'll be seeing you. I'll be seeing you. Right. And I heard murmurs in the audience. They started to chuckle.
Oh.
They started to talk amongst themselves. And I knew I was in trouble. I knew it. I said, they expect me to be funny. That's when I realized, well, I'm typecast.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Did you have comedic influences growing up, or as you were coming up at all, or was that on your radar?
I think like a lot of comics, stand-up comics, you're in school and some people make you funnier than others. And I was in a little group and I would come up with, jokes, and it was funny. We'd laugh all the time. And so in school, I was funny all through school. There was nobody really. It was just always in me. It was just always there. Because when my mother had mental illness, she was agoraphobic. She never left the house for 20 years as I was growing up. She didn't go to any of my weddings, either one of them. It sounds funny. See, I see how I can laugh at Billy's things. But she had a sense of humor. Okay, and my father, when he was drunk, had a sense of humor, but then it went downhill from there, which is most normal. But I would look to things to change my mind. I would see a perspective of humor and everything, pretty much. It was almost like it was in me to just shift my brain. I'd cry a little bit and then I would find something funny, like sticking a penis. Here we go again on my doll Dennis as a young girl.
That's all the rage nowadays. I mean, you were ahead of the curve.
Dolls. Yeah, they have them for real now. And eating.
Tell me about it. No, really, tell me about it.
Okay.
Where do you get these dolls? I mean, right now.
The next morning I woke up, I prayed for him to be real.
Oh.
And the next morning, and the penis was gone. And I didn't know what a penis looked like. I just thought, so I stuck it on with tape. And the next morning I couldn't find it anywhere. And I was so worried that my mother, found it. She would know this is a penis, right? But no, she wouldn't say that. Obviously, she probably said, "Oh, it's Doris doing crafts again," right? So pretty much, that's what I thought. So
there's my thimble. I thought I lost it.
Oh, cute! I like that. I'm gonna write that down.
Okay, take it. It's all yours.
Yeah, I heard first time I heard Whoopi Goldberg. She did little storytelling, like when she was growing up, standing up, on the bed and pretending she was older. I said, I did that. I did that standing on my bed, putting a towel on my head, pretending I have long hair, stuffing my chest with towels and seeing how I would look. So I thought, oh, wow. I did that. So all the silly little things that I saw and did over the years, I'm like, God, that was funny. Like my father built me a cabinet for my doll. What did I do with that cabinet? I was big enough to fit in it. I took it out in my yard and I used it as an outhouse show.
Oh.
I used my doll cabinet as an outhouse. I would I would pee in that cabinet
Ah.
out of my yard. I was an odd child.
You think? So
Did your dolls use the bathroom indoors? Was it like a switcheroo kind of thing?
I thought it was cool. It was cool
Yeah.
to be able to go. I didn't have to go in the house.
Oh,
It's,
yeah.
I have no idea what happened to it. My father and mother must have found it and was, I don't know.
Oh.
Good thing about being old is you can't remember that stuff.
No,
Yeah.
it's funny because like mine and me, Joe and I, when we met like in the mid 90s, we were a lot older. We're older souls, and we love any, like Joe was just over last night, and we watched things like your show or shows.
Oh
Like
my God. Oh, funny. Oh my God. Yeah.
So-
Phil
so we-
Silver's show or something like
And
that. yeah.
those were a lot of my influences.
Right.
Lucille Ball and Carol Burnett. And they were my influences, you know.
My favorite of
I
all.
want to do that, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
My favorite, like I knew as soon as, you know, I was 7 what I wanted to name a son if I had a son. But when I really fell down the comedy rabbit hole when I was around 12, 13, and again, you know, you had limited access to old television back then, but you know, when you would see documentaries and stuff like that. But Emma Jean Coca is, I think, probably, you know, and I don't want to say, oh, the greatest
And
female
you're so
talent.
young to know that,
'Cause-
right?
No, I mean, but like Joe and I can sit here, like, you know, you if you have, you know, I don't want to say it out loud, but if you have an Alexa in your room and you can tell it to play the old like Jack Benny show from the 30s. So I listen to, you know, all the people, all, you know, all those comedians and stuff like that. So
I mean, Gracie Allen.
No,
she
yeah.
was,
Oh, Gracie Allen,
fantastic.
yeah. Norm and I did some type of that stuff as a duet, you know, as a duo years ago. As a matter of fact, I took a comedy class from someone in Maine, Tim Farrell. I don't know if you know him, but I took a comedy class with my daughter, Christine.
oh,
Yeah, we would go to Maine like every one night a week and do comedy. And when we got there, the first night we went, I said, can you think to save money, we can do it together? Right. So we did a duo. We did a mother-daughter duo. And she was funny. And she played off of me, you know, because I get a little ditzy around my daughter, believe it or not. And yeah, stop
really?
it. And Christine would be like, yeah, my mom's a stall talker. You know, we were in the bathroom and I'm going, Christine, can I tell me, what are you doing tonight? Right, that kind of thing. So she blew me away, you know, but in her profession, she really can't do what I'm doing. See, I couldn't do this when I was a professional in Concord. I had a reputation of being a professional, and to do stand-up would be, I may as well never ever do any of that again,
Yeah.
right? So that was when I felt free, when I retired, and yeah.
And how many kids do you have?
I have a son and a daughter. We have a son and a daughter, and our son is an opera singer and he's in the UK this weekend performing there. And he is also pays his bills by working for a big retail company as a software. He creates their website and all that. And Christine works for iSolve company. She's a marketing guru type person. So they're hard workers. But
it's also in their blood, entertaining.
Yeah, it is. Oh, it is. It is. Yeah, we had a balloon company and we would do balloon deliveries. So that was a good way. Norm would go do deliveries to people's houses for their birthdays. He'd get information on them, and he made like $150, $200 a gig. And just like I'm making all that money in comedy. And he dressed up like a cheerleading costume, and they called them Buffy the Cheerleader. There are still people and he roasts people, and there are still people who talk about Buffy the Cheerleader to this day, and that was like 25, 30 years ago.
So when I see your comedy, you really get a sense that you can go toe to toe with the young kids trying to come up with a shock thing, or like oh, I can't believe this person said that. But you also have this like saged wisdom of like some old vaudevillian who's
Oh my God.
It's more of a show. Yeah, like you don't have a set as much as you have a persona and an act. It's like it's akin
Yeah,
to like a throwback. And I
yeah,
guess
it
now
is.
that I
It is.
know about the acting, that kind of puts the pieces together.
It is. But it's a lot me. It's me. My whole persona is really what's inside me that I hide, right?
Mhm. Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm a professional, but deep down, I'm like thinking funny stuff. I would
Yeah.
love to come out with it, but I can't. Now I do.
Right.
Now it's like I'm free, right? And I'm retired and I'm free to do it. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry, but that's who I am.
Well, I'm looking at my notes here, and it says that you have no shits to give. That you ran out of things, shits to give about 9 years ago. So you're all. Has your son seen you perform?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
when you have your son in the audience or your daughter, are
Yeah.
you pulling back on some of the material? Is it, hey, this is what it is?
It's what they know their mother. Oh, they know their mother. My grandchildren love it. They came to see me a few times, and no, I just, in fact, they bring my energy level even up more because I know they're in the room. So,
See, you're so much bolder than I am because my sisters come to a few shows, and I generally work PG-13-ish. That's my I'm a cleaner comic. I have a couple of sides where I'll say certain things, but one show, my sister, my cousins came, and it's like I can't say this, it's like if my
oh no.
but
No,
that's
they know
me.
me. Well, I guess if I just had company from New Jersey. My brother-in-law, Norm's brother, came to visit for a whole week, and his new girlfriend came, right? So she's like, she talks like this, right? She's from New Jersey, right? She talks like that. So I said, I had a performance at 5 minutes at Winter Circle. So I said, damn it, I try new material there. So I did some new material saying, about how she's cooking the pasta, and I was using her accent, and they went nuts. And I'm like, and this is brand new material I wrote, but because she was in the room, it worked better because they knew she was there. And
Oh, that's
so,
great.
you got to know your audience, know the room, and but I don't know that it would work the same in another environment unless I was like at an Italian club or something like that.
Well,
And they're hard to
No,
find in
but
Massachusetts.
I mean,
right, they're
that
hard to
was
find. Yeah.
hilarious. Yeah, it was hilarious. And then I
Well-
did one of my rap songs with an Italian accent.
Oh,
Well, there is, and I don't want to play on a stereotype, but there is an Italian mafia that runs a lot of the there is the John Tobin, who is probably one half of Boston comedy scene, and then probably the other half is Lenny Clark's brother, and then but there's this whole spinoff of Pinky Ring comedy. And if you follow, if you look up the Pinky Ring comedy on on any of the socials, it's all this Italian based, and there's probably 10 regional headliners that most of their material lean into. I'm Italian, and it's all those fun kind of things.
Yeah.
So that you got a lot of places to work that. So you mentioned new material, so which is fabulous because I've seen you. Like I said, it's been a year we've been doing shows, and the wealth of material you have, it's pretty great because I'll see the same people every 2 or 3 months, and it's like it's the same 5 or it's the same 10. I've seen you do at least 2 or 3 different raps, which take a lot of work. I mean, those are.
I wish I could memorize them, but I make no apologies. I'm 77, for God's sake. I mean, really. If I could have a cue card up there and have you hold it, Jacques, I would love it. We'd have so much fun.
More than happy
yeah.
to. So how much do you write? Do you have a goal? Like, do you want to have 10 new minutes a year? Like, what is your writing process for new material?
I think like most of you, I think, something will come in my brain, just something in my life, whatever, and I'll go, oh God, that's funny. And if I'm smart enough, I'll write it down. And then, because I won't remember if I don't write it down, I'll be like, damn it, why didn't I write that down? So, but I have a few raising my kids that I don't, now there, I would probably not do it with them in the audience. That's right. I wouldn't do it. I can do clean material, no problem, but I have more fun when I'm true to me, which is like, I think sex is hilarious.
So
you
don't
know,
most of the
So does my
women I've
wife.
been with. Yeah, there
I
you
think
go.
it's a riot. I think that our bodies are a scream.
Oh,
I
God.
think it gets funnier and funnier as you get older. So why not make fun of myself? Because,
Well,
like the dots I have on my body when I said that my husband, we had a good time. You never heard that one, right?
oh yeah.
He connected the dots.
Talk-
Yeah. But I'll change the person. By the way, I've gotten new dots since then.
See, and people say skin cancer is all bad. You know,
Jeez.
glass half full. Am I right? Glass
That's
half
a good
full.
punchline right there. You inspire me, you guys, really.
More
I
like
get
more like
inspired
mellow
by-
Yesma. Am I right? I mean, sorry.
No, you're
Oh, God.
awful.
Mellow Yesma. See, the opposite of no is yes.
No, it is great that you have so much. Now here's the next thing. Something happens at the house, and Norm says something, or something happens with one of your kids. Do they instantly say, "Are you going to use that in a bit?"
I think once in a while they do, but mostly my neighbors or people around me will say, "So you're going to use that, aren't you?" Or you know, go ahead, you can use that if you want, right? Because yeah, I pretty much give them a little heads up.
Right.
That's a good one. I'm going to use that, right? And then they're like, "Oh, like a little, oh, you're going to use that, right?" They're not insulted. It's more like wow,
It's
I
like a
gotta go
badge of
see that.
honor.
Know when you're right. Let me know
so-
when you're performing.
And there's so many times. My wife used to say her friends, basically her little group, had a rule that none of them could ever date anybody doing comedy because they would all wind up being in the bits.
Oh, for sure.
And
Oh,
then
yeah.
and
I
then
can see
now,
that.
oh yeah.
Your son?
And well, I have two, and the oldest one has done stand up with me a few times. They've both done not a lot, but they've done some theater, and the oldest one has done stand up a few times. But they do, they'll ask like, "Oh, you're gonna make fun of this? Oh, or this." But if I talk about them, I run it through them. Like, hey, is this cool? Especially my old one, especially if it's,
Yeah,
depending on
some people like that. Yeah.
yeah.
But my kids are in their 40s and
Oh, it's all fair game. Yeah.
yeah, right.
Post it. Your granddaughter's like now 20, so she's fair game too. Like, they're not children
Oh.
anymore.
She's the one that told me when she was about 7, she said, "Mime, you're gonna die soon." So look right at me, very seriously, "Mime, you're gonna die soon." And I just looked at her and I went, "God, please don't let this child be psychic." And now when I see her, I go, "Hey, Lauren, nya, 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 nya."
You just
Yeah.
watch The Sixth Sense with her, and you're like, wait a minute, am I still here, or are you seeing a ghost?
Oh, they love it when I do stuff about them. Are you
Oh, that's
kidding?
fantastic.
Yeah, they love it.
Absolutely fantastic. So now you were talking about wanting to take this a step further. Do you have like a plan? Do you have an actual like a roadmap that you kind of want to break out of New England or do more stuff?
Yeah, I'm right now, of course, we're caretakers in a way for my brother. He's going to be 93 in September. So he lives in Manchester. So we have to go be with him once a week, get his food, stuff like that. So the guy, I'm sorry, but my brother tries to be funny all the time. And it's so annoying because he's really not good at it. Really. But once in a while, he'll give me some little tidbit, and I'm like, yes, right. But he tries to be, he's annoying, but right. So we have to watch him there. And of course, Norm is my driver. So I have to make plans where I want to go beyond New Hampshire area in Maine. So, but I'm going to start reaching out to some bookers and start going. But I'm writing a book now. I'm almost done my manuscript.
Let's hear about it.
That's my goal right now, is to finish that manuscript and have it edited by the end of the year. And because it's about my journey in comedy and how the mental illness and how the bad stuff in my life growing up helped me to survive and help me. And I know, and now I'm doing research. Part 3 is about others who are stand-up comedians who have that same example of their lives, and comedy helped save them. And you don't realize it until you start making fun about it, and you're like, you know what? I was sad about that. But now I look back at it, it's kind of funny now. So I'm going to share that with others. So that's what it's all about. And now Sarah Silverman, I'm going to be putting something about her. I've got to get her mission. Of course, she's from New Hampshire, of course. And I realized when I did starting my research on that she had a problem with depression, and there was a lot of sad stuff. So there's a lot of comics that I'm finding out, professional comics that have the same kind of experience where they use comedy to deal, to have a different, that perspective of, you know what, let's laugh about that.
No, I'd say more than most. I mean, and if you think about it,
so. Yeah.
Think of all like the TV writers and like the 50s and 60s who, how tough it was, coming out of certain, what's the old saying? It's like comedy is a tragedy plus timing.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. So, I mean, I'll have to interview people. You can send people my way. I'd love to have a little paragraph of different comics locally that I've met that can share some of their insight as far as that goes. But
so, what's been really great is Joe and I have been doing this podcast for 7 years, and it's just the last year and a half that I've been doing comedy. And Joe, and I write. Joe and I write together. Yeah, and what I found is, what's really funny, especially the headline comics that like how supportive that echelon is, like how supportive a Jim McCue is, a Dave Rattigan, a John Tobin. All these people have come on the podcast and have been great, have been funny, and have been like, hey, this is how I figured out how this works. Whether they're talking about their process or about their pitfalls or about, this was work, this was what didn't, this is my suggestion. I mean, it is a great community. And again, so many of these the people whose comedy I like best are the ones that it's all reality based, it's
exaggerated,
relatable.
But it's based in reality. Obviously,
right.
You make it funnier because to us, it's like, yeah, now it's a big story based on a small story, right? Yeah.
My kids have always grown up kind of in a sitcom environment because for all intensive purposes, I'm Peter Pan. Like what you see is what you get. Yep. I've had some amazing jobs running companies where I show up every day in a Batman shirt. Like this is just who I am. My wife has a very amazing job. She's a nanny, but she's nannied for people that have let us travel all over the world. So our home life has always been different, but it's always the number one thing is laughter. How healthy do you feel based on a lot of your friends because you laugh so much? Is laughter really the best medicine, or is it penicillin?
Oh, again, wine. I'm going to say that.
Wine, okay.
And it's almost wine o'clock. No, but yeah. Okay. So I'd rather be doing this than making a speech for a political candidate. The world is getting so, there's a lot of fear and a lot of hate. And I love looking for the good. And I guess during COVID, my sister's a nun. She lives in Manitoba. Yeah, she's 10 years older than I am.
On purpose?
And I run a lot of, I run some comedy by her too, the cleaner stuff. And and but she's not your typical nun. She's like a cool nun, I call her, right? So anyway, I talk to her on FaceTime almost 3-4 times a week, and I run some of my stuff by her. And so she, but the Catholic, growing up Catholic. And when I did the Bedford Community Club, Women's Club, I did a lot of the comedy from my being raised Catholic. I saw a lot of women going, yes, yes, nodding, right? And that they're all identifying. So there were a lot of Catholics in that room who knew exactly what I was feeling and talking about, making fun of. And but that gives me material as well. And that was traumatic growing up. But where I'm going with that is during COVID, I started being more spiritual. I'm not a practicing Catholic anymore. And that's in my book. No problem with that. I'm fine with that. My kids, when they were little, they did. But we're more centrist, spiritual, universe. We'll take, the universe, and the universe is guiding me. And I'll give you a really good example of that. Just when I thought 2.5 years ago, when I thought, you know what, maybe this comedy thing, maybe I won't do it anymore. It was right after COVID. And then somebody said, Doris, I saw your picture. I saw your name in the Hippo Press as one of New Hampshire's comedians, right? Out of the 4 comedians. I mean, with Justin McKinney and Marley. And I went, what? What are you talking about? And I'm just barely doing stand-up after COVID. And I went and bought every Hippo Press I could at that. And I found it. And I think they looked me up because I started Laughter in New Hampshire, that school of comedy. I don't know why else they wouldn't. And then I had my picture taken. I was in the magazine. And that's when I looked at my husband and I said, the universe is telling me to keep doing this.
That's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. The universe keeps telling me to stop, or it's Joe keeps telling me to stop, but I can't. The universe sounds like Joe.
I mean, with Jacques has a similar kind of outlook on life as well, because it just replaced the universe with the force, and that's basically
Same Star Wars, and
I also believe that superheroes are real when you see people who do parkour. So I'm a wingnut. I'm aliens, all of it. I believe in all of it. You know what I mean? Except, one, and so my boys understand it's like, okay, 90% of most Western religions believe in the same stuff. And
really, the basic concept is the same. Yeah.
And you're fighting over the 10% you don't agree on, but that's a different story for a different day. I want to talk more about, before we let you go, how active are you on the socials? And is that something that you enjoy or don't enjoy, or are you not very active on the socials?
I'm not that active. I want to be. I want to record myself and put it out there, but I want to have a plan. And unfortunately, I am, it's not that I would need a young person to help me with it, although it would be nice. But I mean, actually, I'm not. I'm so busy. I'm so busy writing my book right now. And I keep telling myself I'm going to finish this manuscript and then I'm going to start putting some of this stuff out. So it's almost like I have a game plan.
Yeah.
I want the manuscript to be done. I want to continue doing some stand-up here and there during the next few months. And then it's almost like the new year, and I want to book another one-woman show for next fall. My goal is to be doing stand-up and having a big damn show on my 80th birthday timeline.
That's fantastic.
So I have 3 years, 3 years to 3 years to say, I'm going to do it now, and I'm going to do it when I'm 78, 79, and I even have a countdown now on the days. So I already started telling some of my friends, when I'm 80 years old, I'm booking the Concord City Auditorium, and I'm going to start booking it in 2 years, and I'm going to do a big show over there, and I'm going to have all of my comedic friends be a part of it.
That's absolutely fantastic.
Big celebration.
You can 100% count us in. And
and if I die before then,
no,
have it anyway.
Right? Yes.
Anyway.
As a rapper, by the way, you should work on, once you start putting the act, out there in the universe, like maybe try to work on getting a collaborator, because the biggest rap artists always are, it's kind of like Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, they collaborated, there was there's always a featuring. So maybe you can get somebody, maybe you can collaborate with Sarah Silverman one day, like she could.
Those are some of the things that I have in the back of my mind. The planning is happening. The timing is happening. I've got 55,000 something words now in my manuscript. Maybe 30 of them are good. But I want to have it done by next year for my 78th birthday time frame in March. And I'd like to book something in Concord, because that's my hometown, for next fall now. And I would like it to be presenting myself with all the men comedians.
Oh, that's great.
Through the women. I want men around me.
That's really awesome.
Easy prey, they just
look out,
awesome.
you guys, look out, because I'm seriously going to do that. I wake up in the morning and I go, nah, I'm not going to do it. And then by the time I finish my shower, I'm doing it.
That's great.
What am I thinking? Right? Yeah.
Well, it seems like you have pretty full days when it comes to the arts. This is it.
Yes.
Just writing a book,
Yes.
writing a one-woman play, doing your stand-up.
Yeah.
Seriously, I know it sounds hacky and cliche, but you are just a delight and an inspiration. The thing I like about your comedy is I've seen you kill in rooms where the age is 25, and I've seen you kill in room where the age is 65. You know, if it's, you know, depending on where it is, it's like if the Luna Theater tends to skew really young, McCue's tend to scale, you know, I mean, like the 60 and over. But your comedy is across the board, and people don't expect you to be as blue as you are. They don't expect you to be as quick as you are. They don't expect Norm to be sitting in the back of the room after you say something and you point to him and they're like, wait, he's a real person. This isn't, you're just, you know, this fictitious guy.
Right. He's not Fang like Phyllis Diller and
Yeah. Phyllis Diller and, you know, Joan Rivers.
Yeah.
Excuse me, you know, Joan Rivers was like, well, she was a crazy writer, but anyway. Yeah,
my
and
God.
Norm, and I wanted to say thank you to you because my husband, Norm, is he puts himself in the background now and he misses that, you know, and so everyone's so friendly with him and it means a lot to me because I sometimes feel like I'm a burden to him, you know, that I'm making him drive me all over. And but he's a funny guy.
Yeah.
In my family, this is what a discussion is. What? 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 Did you think that's what? That's my brother, my husband, and when we go visit him, this is all I hear. What? I'm not talking to you. What? I said I'm not talking to you.
Oh, that's just the best skit. So
it's true though. That's
it's not a sketch. It's not a bit. It's real life.
And that's what makes it fun. And so people can follow you for now. Is it just Facebook? Just your name on Facebook?
Just go to my Doris Ballard at Comcast.net. If they want to email me, if they want to message me, it's Doris Ballard. I have Doris Ballard Comedy and Doris Ballard too. So, yeah. So I'm kind of laying low now with all the writing I'm doing, but in the fall I want to gear up. So I'm going to be starting to reach out to folks like you and get the word out that I'm ready. But you know, that insecurity, huh? That insecurity every now and then.
We comedians mask it by, you know, unwarranted, you know, confidence. But we're all like, why isn't anyone no, but you are. I don't know anybody who, when your name doesn't come up, like light up like a Christmas tree. And it's just, you know, or menorah, if we want to, you know, make sure that we're not ruling out, you know, our Jewish friends. But seriously, you are probably the most beloved person that I've stumbled upon since doing this. So it's a delight that you've been doing this. So thank you so much.
Well,
Joe, you got any final thoughts?
Do I have any final? It's Doris, it was a pleasure meeting you. I look forward to your future shows. I look forward to I look forward to a rap battle, basically someday. Some rap battle between you and maybe Kendrick Lamar. I don't know.
When I know who Kendrick is, I will look that up.
Oh, it's worth a Google. I'm sure it's worth.
Oh man.
He's been in the news lately. So, but yeah, no, it's just great. And I wish Norm the best. I wish your brother the best. I wish you the best. Jacques, I don't care about you at all. But no. And I care about our audience. So we'll let you go. Thank you, Doris.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And Jacques, don't forget,
America.